you like this deal then. Let me ask you this. Is Raytheon in play? Could someone else come in?
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me on. I do like this deal. I mean, it is platform agnostic. We've heard that a lot this morning about basically you've created a very balanced portfolio with not a lot of overlap, essentially no overlap when you look at the portfolio. I think the bigger question is there was no premium because you are basically trying to create a merger of equals. There's not many other companies out there that could take on a transaction like this. The only one that could potentially, from a suitor standpoint, Boeing has always had an interest in expanding, I think, into the missile defense kind of and missile area. That would be one OEM that could potentially look at the transaction. But I think given all that is going on with Boeing and its issues regarding the 737 MAX, I just don't think that this is ideally the time for to even pursue a transaction like that.
So, Peter, to your point, very little overlap. There was just a widely held assumption this morning, this gets done. Then the president spoke, started to question the deal a little bit. Can we disregard that?
Yeah, I think ultimately once the administration learns on the merits of the combination that there are not any overlaps, that they're going to have a very powerful R&D capability to invest in a lot of their own technologies that the Department of Defense and will be a beneficiary of. So I think those anxieties will subside over time.
Peter, something you've written about this morning in response to this deal, the budget swings within defense and commercial aerospace cycles. There's a belief held by some that maybe we've seen the peak in the defense budget spending. Peter, how important is this deal with regard to that?
Yeah, well, I think if you just look back at an example like, say, Boeing. I mean, they acquired McDonnell Douglas in the late 90s and have benefited tremendously from the defense cash flows and into being able to invest in platforms like the 787 and other platforms on the commercial side and vice versa. And so they play off each other. And so I think similarly here, you have the balance here that's being created. And while some of these end markets will ebb and flow, I think that this combination looks pretty powerful from being able to invest through the cycles and absorb any shocks.
Peter, just in terms of the synergies, if there's little overlap, where do the synergies come from?
Yeah, so they've identified, obviously, there's a lot of SG&A initially, back office IT, and then, of course, the Department of Defense will be a beneficiary from a reduction in overhead rates because that gets all priced into forward contracts. So while it's $1 billion of gross synergies, it's $500 million net because, obviously, the Department of Defense will be a beneficiary of $500 million of annual reductions going forward.